Billy, how can the people get a hold of this poster? Would that be through TriDot?
No. The number to call, once again, is area code 702-873-3821, and then he can probably turn them on to where he has to.
That's Bob, and that's the Pacific Standard Time Zone, right?
Yeah, that's Las Vegas.
Right, Las Vegas. Billy, at the beginning of the program, I am dedicating this show to Roger the Dodger.
Roger the Dodger, yes, a man that was our, I guess you could call him our audio expert. He taped all of the Billy Goodman happenings. I understand that people are in the process of trying to find those tapes. Supposedly some of those tapes are pretty valuable. I don't know.
Remember, when I first heard of the Billy Goodman thing, I started recording many tapes of these shows, and I have them. We've been making them available to our audience of the Bob Lazar interviews. Let's just go back in time here for a minute, Billy. Let's talk about some of the pioneers in ufology that you spearheaded this investigation with. This is long before Don Eckert, and this was the Billy Goodman thing. Let's go over. We had Wendell Stevens.
Yes, funny name, Lieutenant Colonel Wendell Stevens. Just recently his name came up in a conversation with the folks that run the International UFO Library magazine. They asked Lieutenant Colonel Wendell Stevens, who he suggested should be the one to write about this Area 51, because they want to do a spectacular expose on it. And he says the one person in the world that you should talk to is Billy Goodman. So I thank Wendell Stevens for putting me in that kind of a position, and for him feeling that way towards me. As far as I'm concerned about Wendell Stevens, I think he was one of the more legitimate ufologists to come forward. He does not, what I consider to be elaborate. I don't think he has to enforce, if you want to call it that. A lot of people do that in ufology for some reason in order to make their stories more believable. So I would have to put Wendell Stevens right on top there.
Okay, very good. We had some audio problems there. I hope the audience got the gist of that.
What's the audio problem?
Somebody ran a tape and it bled over into what you were saying, sir. I apologize.
That happens every time I do interviews. It seems like someone will sabotage a portion of my interviews, and I don't know why that continues. I don't know if it's a part of the master plan. I don't know if it's a part of the Universal. You know, Universal is supposed to be in the perfect structure.
Yeah.
And if they didn't want that heard, I'm not sure.
Well, in case they didn't hear it, let's be sure and mention that he spearheaded George Knapp's career.
Who's that?
You did, sir.
Yeah, well, I thank you for that. If you want to go back to the beginning of George, because I guess George Knapp is the main name that people remember from the media that came forward. And the very first interview he conducted that dealt with UFOs was with Billy Goodman. As a matter of fact, I think you were there, Cosmo.
Yes.
I think you were there that night. And you might want to tell them what he thought about what he saw and what he was hearing.
They were talking to me in my ear again, Billy. I apologize. Who is this in regards to? That's right, George Knapp.
Right.
I've told the story once before. I'll say it again. Billy Goodman was on the air about 10:30 in the evening. We went on at 10. There was a knock at the door. I let in George Knapp and his huge cameraman. They came in, they set up, they took over, which was fine. They are in the business. They knew exactly what was going on. You had myself was there. I was wide-eyed with anticipation and glee from just being in a 50,000 watt AM radio station, not knowing very much what to do. Billy Goodman and Gloria Euphoria were explaining the intricacies of taping commercials and doing what a producer of a program does. And while standing there, they were filming Billy Goodman taking his calls, as usual, from the 11 western United States, when George Knapp elbowed his cameraman in the stomach there and says, "This is nuts. These people are crazy. UFOs don't exist." Words to that effect. I'm not quoting. Words to that effect. And Mr. George Knapp, who I think has done a very outstanding job. It's just I was there at the beginning. I saw this, and to see Mr. Knapp's career take off in the skyrocketing, because he filled the shoes of Ned Day, that great reporter out of Las Vegas who mysteriously passed away in the Hawaiian Islands while on a 2-week vacation. And Ned Day was also investigating the Tony Spilatro and the Mafia investigations and misdealings of the Hole-in-the-Wall gang during the latter 1980 era, dealing with the Mafia. George Knapp fell into the shoes of Ned Day, and I believe George Knapp's done an outstanding job. He's done a lot of homework on Bob Lazar. He's the one that found, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Billy, that he did find the old telephone directory stating Robert Lazar's name when all records had ceased to exist on him.
Yeah, but I think it's clear, and I really need this. You know, the one thing I do not want to be, I really admire Nikola Tesla, but the one thing that I don't want to be remembered as a Nikola Tesla who did not get credit for what he should have been getting credit for. I'm a believer that the most important person, no matter what it is the one who digs the well. Now, I hope you understand that analogy I'm trying to bring to your attention, ladies and gentlemen. It's the person that gets down there with the shovel and starts digging and breaks the rock and whatever is necessary so that then water can come forward and then you can come and drink from the well. That's what I did. I dug the well at Area 51. I dug the well to get Nikola Tesla's name into become a household word. But getting back to Area 51 and the UFO phenomena, and as you stated, how George Knapp then started carrying the torch, so to speak, let's not forget at the beginning the man did not believe. He had to get more and be fed more. When he was there doing that special that night, and if people get the video, the UFO Best Evidence, we're right in the front with the first part of that UFO The Best Evidence, and that's the night that Cosmo's referring to when they came to the studio. And then midway through this UFO Best Evidence tape, you'll also see us where we took, and with the very first, by the way, should be added, very first talk show host and people involved with my talk show at that time, to bring our listeners and make available a trip for them to go up to this area and take a look at what was going on in the skies. And George Knapp and his crew came up that night, and they did everything, I mean everything, included on the UFO The Best Evidence tape and on the Current Affairs special. They did everything to disclaim it. Never forget that, and I won't either. But yet after that time, all of a sudden, he started realizing what we were saying was actually factual, and things were going on, and then he started joining in. You know, that's much the same as a gentleman here in Las Vegas does a talk show, Art Bell. Art Bell would never recognize that topic. He used to put it down. When people would call him after I got off the air, because he was on late night after me on the other radio station, and talk about some of the guests I had on and some of the topics we addressed, he put it down. He said it was cheap radio. It was trying to grab an audience, which I'm proud to say at one time, according to Los Angeles Daily News, we had as many as 33 million listeners listening to the Billy Goodman Happening, to that topic and other topics which basically come down to the very same thing, anti-establishment or anti-government.